Thanks. Yeah, I should explain. These aren't my jokes. This is the sex offenders register. I've got some really bad news for some of you. Yeah, I did a gig on the East Coast recently, and yeah. Yeah, it's a good one, isn't it? Yeah. I did a gig on the East Coast recently, and when I was there, I dropped the C bomb, and it was really awkward because loads of fish died. This could be quite a long evening, couldn't it? I was in a hurry to get here this evening, and my mate stopped me and he said, "Look, I've grown hair across my top lip," and I said, "Yeah. Anyway, moustache." I had to stop at a petrol station. I said to the guy, "Can you tell me the name of that container that you put petrol in?" He said, "Jerry can." I said, "All right, I'll ask him then." It's funnier than I thought. I was with my Scottish friend on the way here. I said to him, "Do you fancy going to Scandinavia sometime?" He said, "No way." He was disappointed with the train set I bought him for his birthday. I didn't get it. He said he wanted a PlayStation. It's fine. He didn't laugh much either, so yeah, it's fine. Yeah. So that's Scottish people. But on an unrelated note, let's talk about employment. I'll tell you about myself. I work in sales, but business is slow because there aren't many ships being built. You think I enjoy doing this? I'm also a member of a committee that discusses women's clothing, the skirting board. And I said to this guy, "What do you do for a living?" He said, "I sweep up leaves." I said, "I bet you're raking it in." Incident. Is someone suffocating over there? Result. That's the best compliment I've ever had. Cheers. Incidentally, I said to this other guy, "What do you do for a living?" He said, "I'm a Formula One driver." I said, "I bet you're raking it in." He said, "No, I'm Raikkonen." I remember when I was a kid, I used to look at the refrigerator in the kitchen and think to myself, when I grow up, I want to sell those things. So I got a job in Selfridges. Something I don't understand, okay, right? A shop that sells pizza is called a pizzeria, right? So why isn't a shop that sells notebooks and planners called a diarrhea? But I hate it when people dress things up to make them sound better than they are. Like, there's a guy I know who has a job where he knits jumpers. He calls himself a software developer. Also, there's a girl that I know that's actually a prostitute, but she calls herself a wholesaler. Speaking of that, when it comes to which sex toy is the best, I have to say the new one from Ann Summers is definitely up there. My mum and dad split. My mum and dad split because they're nuclear physicists. So, yeah. I'll cross that off then, okay. I remember me and my ex-girlfriend, we went on holiday to the Middle East once, and while we were there, I got drunk and she got stoned for adultery. There's a lot of children suffer over there, isn't there? So much so in the Middle East, so much so that I went into the office of this charity and I said to them, I think more needs to be done for youth in Asia. They gave me a really weird look for some reason. Anyone have kids in here? Good. I don't want kids myself, but if I had a son, I'd definitely name him Ford, just so that if he was at school and didn't concentrate, the teacher would say, "Ford, focus." When I was born, ironically, my mum during labour, she was rather conservative. Oh, I'm not being paid, don't worry. A lot of conflict in the Middle East, of course. People talk about D-Day quite a lot, don't they? But they don't talk about the time just before that, when all the soldiers were anally refreshed. B-Day. She liked her music, my ex-girlfriend. I said to her once, "Can you recommend me a good prog rock band?" She said, "Yes." Thank you, 5 people. Cheers. Julius Caesar's less well-known quotation: "I came, I saw, I became a DJ. Veni, vidi, Avicii." Do you remember a few years ago in America they had Hurricane Katrina, and the worst thing about it was that there were tsunamis with the hurricane, and they still didn't call it Katrina and the waves. Me and some friends were on holiday in America once. We saw a creature on the beach, and we assumed it was a turtle, but it wasn't, so that really taught us. I remember when we were there, I met this Spanish guy. I said to him, "I don't even know the Spanish word for cheese." He said, "Queso." Mind you, did you know this is genuinely true? Every week, medical mistakes kill enough Americans to fill 4 747s. So every week, that's about 12 Americans. I was telling a friend of mine recently, my brother had to have his leg amputated because of a food intolerance. He said lactose. I said he does now. I got a mate he's a bit of a big fella, you know, but he's been trying to lose weight for a while, and thankfully is now starting to find his feet. There's this guy that I know, he always says, "Look at me, I can touch my toes," and I just think, it's all right for you, you've got prosthetics. Anyway, you've been a nice audience in a way, so I'll just leave you with this, because last month it was a year since I started doing comedy, and the other week a guy said to me, where was the worst you ever bombed? And I said, that'd be Edinburgh last year. Completely missed my target. You guys have been great. My name's David Luck. Cheers.